Let's talk about another experience that you had here. Adam Tex Davis with us. Slaycation is the podcast. Be sure to press subscribe on that wherever you download podcasts. This is a story about your first feature film project taking
Mm.
place, and I love abandoned things. Abandoned things are my jam. This is I did not know that this hotel was abandoned. This is the hotel where RFK's assassination took place. And for whatever reason, the last like 2 weeks, YouTube has been suggesting these videos to me of,
Uh,
of the live coverage of it. I'm like, oh, fascinating, because I love watching that sort of stuff. But you had an encounter there with a female ghost. Tell me about that.
Spoiler alert. No. No, you know what it was? It was like a teen um it was a teen comedy
Hmm.
for the MTV the channel.
Okay.
It was called Spring Break Lawyer,
Okay.
which I won't get into anything about the movie, but it was the very first writing job I had gotten hired to write this thing.
Okay.
And the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles
Hmm.
was where we wound up shooting, I would say like 85% of the movie, because this hotel, like it was a gigantic hotel. It was completely abandoned and had been abandoned for years. Um, but it was mammoth. It had a giant, like the Coconut Grove was the club in the hotel. That's where they used to have the Academy Awards when they first started the Academy Awards, this
Yeah.
gigantic club. And we used it as a nightclub.
Uh-huh.
Then we used hotel rooms to serve as hotel rooms, to serve as dorm rooms. Then the basement just had all kinds of stuff. There were bars. There was like a bank with a vault. There was jail cells. They had like 3 jail cells in the basement of this hotel. So we used it when we needed a jail cell. There was a diner. There was like all kinds of stuff. So every day we would go to this hotel and we would shoot different parts of the hotel to
Hmm.
be, different parts, locations in the movie.
Yeah.
I had heard that the place was haunted. So I knew I needed to investigate. And, you know, again, it's completely abandoned. It's like the
Yeah.
Shining Hotel. It's
Yeah.
creepy as hell,
I mean,
especially at night.
who wouldn't think the place is haunted? And then plus the dark history that surrounds that place like that.
Yes. I mean, some of the crew even like snuck into the kitchen and took tiles from the kitchen where like Bobby Kennedy was like
Yeah.
assassinated and stuff. But the point is, you weren't even really allowed to go walk around the place on your own. You were supposed to like be with other people, and some of the rooms had asbestos. Some of the rooms, the floor would cave in, so you couldn't have too many people in there.
Yeah.
Or if you went in, you could fall through the floor. So they were very strict about no looking around or whatever on your own. But I knew I had to at some point see if I could, you know, find this ghost or whatever. But I didn't expect to find anything.
Hmm.
So the last day of shooting, we're there. We're shooting a night shoot in the pool. So it's a big scene with all these kids in like bathing suits and bikinis and stuff. And we start shooting at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to shoot all night and end at 6 a.m. So 12-hour shoot. Midnight is when lunch is. So I decide that's when I'm going to make my move.
Hmm.
And I lie. I go up to one of the security guards who just stands in the parking lot watching our cars. I said, look, I need to go. They want me to go scout the top floor to see. We might have to shoot another scene. So they asked me, I'm the writer, to scout the top floor and see if I could find a room that would be suitable for shooting one more scene.
Hmm.
So the guy's like, yeah, sure. And it was a big American Indian guy. I forget his real name, but everybody just, of course, everybody just called him Chief.
Hmm.
So Chief and I, we get in the elevator. Everybody else is having lunch. They're all outside. We get in the elevator. And he's like, "Oh, so you're the writer, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, have you written other things?" I go, "Well, this is my first one that got made, but I've written other things." The elevator doors open up, and I could just see right down the hallway. There's a woman at the end of the hallway, about, I don't know, 40 yards away, 50 yards away, something like that. She's just standing, staring at the doorway in the corner. She's not dressed like someone of the day.
Hmm.
She's dressed with clearly like a 1920s or 30s. I thought for a second, I thought it was somebody in the art department or maybe costumes had put on a costume, but I'm like, what are they doing up here? And why are they just standing there? It was like the end of the Blair Witch, where the person is just standing there staring at the wall.
Hmm.
And I'm like, before I could say anything, Chief, he goes, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." So he starts running down the hallway towards the woman. And I hear his keys jangling against his leg. And I take 2 steps out of the elevator and I'm like, well, what is going on? And all of a sudden, the woman, she's facing the wall. She turns. Now she's facing me. She continues the turn and then just floats and disappears, like up to the, up to my, to the right and gone. And I'm just like, wait, what? And he keeps running. He's got his head down. He's charging. And he
Yeah.
looks up. And I know he's going to say, "Where'd she go?"
Hmm.
And he stops. He goes, "Where'd she go?" And I'm like, dude. Now at this point, I've slowly walked maybe halfway down the hallway. And again, it's an interior hallway. There's no windows, it's
Yeah.
only doors and the wall.
Hmm.
And the woman was completely like, there was no, like, people say, "Oh, could you see through her? Was she translucent?" No, she was completely looked like a normal, regular, living, breathing person.
Hmm.
But when they turned and then just floated away, I was like, Chief, I'm sorry, I lied to you. They said this place was haunted. I think we just saw a ghost." And he
Wow.
flips out
Yeah.
and he grabs my hand and starts running back to the elevator. And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And I'm like, I thought you guys, like, I thought you might be in tune with this stuff, the spirits in the
Yeah.
spirit world. I thought that was part of it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he threw me in the elevator. He was pissed. And he was like, "We can't tell anybody about this. Don't say a word." And I was like, "You got it." And I went down and I caught the last of lunch and I'm literally trying to eat and my hands are
Shaking.
shaking. And the actors are coming over to, like, it's the last night. And they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Tex." It's like, "What's up, buddy?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't really talk right now."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, in my mind, I'm picturing like the librarian ghost in Ghostbusters or something where it's kind
Right.
of floating and then it shifts and looks at you. But yeah, I mean, and that's a fascinating thing because there's so many times people have ghost stories, and it's not what you expect. It's not the floating. It's just like yeah, and at first, I'm sure you thought it was a person. Why are they up
Yeah.
here? But maybe it's someone like yourself. It's kind of exploring as well.
Yeah.
After that happened, after you saw that thing just evaporate into thin air, I mean, what's your mind saying at that moment? Do you know it's a ghost? Do you know? Are you just trying to like make sense of this? Like, are you seeing things? Like, did I do something earlier? Did I take something? Did somebody slip
Right.
something in my ham sandwich? Like what's going on?
Well, the two thoughts I had, the two thoughts, like, that's when my chest just started pounding. So I was like, don't have a heart attack. But also, I was like, so glad that he was there.
Hmm.
I'm so glad this was a shared experience
Yeah.
because he saw her at the same exact time as me. And it took me by surprise that there was somebody there. Again, I was not expecting to see anything. Yeah, sure, we're going on a little ghost hunt, but
Hmm.
I expected we were going to do a lap around the
Yeah.
building, come back, go back downstairs, and it was going to be all for folly.
Sure.
I
Sure.
and when the fact that I saw somebody, then I thought like, "Oh, it's probably a squatter or it might be, some kids just playing around." But
Yeah.
then when that happened, I was like, "Oh my God." And then I was just like, I was a little annoyed too because, like, I don't want to believe in this.
Hmm.
I consider myself a rational person. I worked on a TV show called Brain Games about how your mind works and plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, I'm a science guy. I don't want to be a ghost guy, but at the
Sure.
same time, I want to be the most credible ghost person.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens, and that's the
It
interesting thing
happened.
about ghost stories. It's always, I mean, I mean, there's certainly we have another podcast called Real Ghost Stories Online, and it's one of the biggest. We've been doing it for 11 years, and it's very fascinating because it's mostly just normal folks just going about their
Mhm.
business, and when they don't even realize sometimes it happens until after it happened, and
Right.
even sometimes it takes longer than that to figure out what exactly had happened. Did you ever do any research or anything into the hotel more to see if others had had a similar experience to you?
Yes, I did find that somebody else had seen a woman in the building, but the way they described it, it was much more traditional ghost see-through.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, nothing that matched what I saw. And like when I tell the story to people, a lot of times they come back at me with some kind of ghost encounter of their own,
Hmm.
but it's usually like a relative, or my dog just died and then I heard barking the next night, or my grandfather died and I looked up and it was nighttime and I saw him standing at the end of my bed. Like it's usually some kind of personal connection
Hmm.
to the person maybe being visited or whatever. I've never had anything similar like that happen. I've never, I've lost some loved ones. I would love if they came by, but they, never had anything like that. And this was just a complete, yeah, no connection at all. And in my mind, I'm like, maybe that makes it more real because I didn't conjure up a relative that I want to see or
Sure.
something. And of course, my mind is also playing a story.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, she's sad. There's something bad happened in that
Hmm.
room, and she can't get in there. And I mean, when she turned towards me, she had no expression. It was very
Yeah.
stoic,
It
and
yeah.
you know,
And a place like that, you don't know. I mean, we know obviously the major history there of Bobby Kennedy being
yeah.
murdered. But as that hotel went into its decline, I mean, it was kind of a rough place, and God knows what went on in some of those rooms.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it could have been anybody, anything, for any reason. Who knows? But
yeah.
yeah, that's one. So let me ask you this, because this is a question I often ask over on the Ghost Show. Is after you've had this experience now, all these years later, do you believe in ghosts?
I'd love to say no, but I have to say yes because I saw a ghost. I don't know how else to answer it. And that's
Mhm.
why I was angry. I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my I have to answer that yes."
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
because you had the experience.
Right. I don't
Okay.
believe in ghosts. I believe in ghost.
Ghost, the one, and it wasn't
The
the
one.
ambassador, and the ambassador's gone now, so doesn't exist
Right.
anymore. All gone. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.